So this one is one that I didn't actually physically buy until well over 10 years after the thing came out. So what am I talking about? I'm talking about this. Megadeth. Peace Sells, but who's buying? From 1986. Now this is the band's second LP and was regarded at the time as a bit of a classic. It came out the same year as Metallica's Master of Puppets, and there were people saying that that is better than Master of Puppets, which of course I thought at the time was a load of old cobblers. And to be fair, I was right, because it isn't better. It just isn't. It's wilder, but it's not better. To my ear, it's not better. Now, why didn't I get it? Well, because I didn't get it for around about 10, 12 years, because I'd heard bits of it. I'd heard, songs here and there over the intervening years, and I just thought, it left me scratching my head. I just thought, what is this? This sounds so amateur. I don't know if it's the guitar tone or what. It just sounded a bit crappy to me. But anyway, one day I was in HMV, late 90s, and they had an end of year sale. It was New Year's Eve, just starting to snow. It was getting dark, and it was all quite Christmassy. And so I was in quite a good mood. And I was looking at the CDs, and I saw that. I saw this puppy on the racks, and I thought, do you know what? I'll give it a chance, because I've never actually heard it all the way through. I've only heard bits. It's not dear. How much was it? It wasn't dear. £6. I mean, who's going to argue it's £6 in a HMV sale? Nobody. So I got hold of it, and I'm glad I did. I played it quite a lot. It's actually a really good record. There's actually more going on than you might think. Obviously starts with Wake Up Dead, which is a great way to start any album. The thing I love about this is the drumming on this. I love the drumming on this. Now, I know he didn't go on to do much else, this character, Gar Samuelson, but maybe that's what put me off, because it's such an odd way to play drums. It's kind of out of time, and it's kind of all over the place. And maybe that's what put me off originally. But the more you hear it, the more you love it. The rhythm section on this record, him, this Samuelson character, Gar Samuelson, and Dave Ellison on bass, they make a great rhythm team. And on this record, they're superb, the pair of them. It's not a long record, it's only just over half an hour. I could have done without the cover, Ain't Superstitious, but to be fair, it's fun. They do a decent job of it. So then we have the title track, which is a classic, again, tremendous bass work from Dave Ellison. Devil's Island, which to me is a dark horse on this record. Really good, love it. Good Morning Black Friday, Bad Omen, Ain't Superstitious, and it finishes with what I think is probably one of Megadeth's finest hours, and that's called My Last Words. It really is superb. The production on this is very strange, but I think it adds to the wildness of the record, because it is a wild record, this. Dave Mustaine wanted to have music that was a total blur as far as speed goes, and to be honest with you, a lot of it is, but it's brilliant. It sounds great, the actual production sounds good, sounds really good. And of course, that final song really is the pièce de résistance of the record. They have a habit of doing long classics, a bit like Iron Maiden, at the end of records, and I think it works really well. Because I was basically educated by bands like Iron Maiden in my listening tastes, I do like a band that have an epic at the back of the album. I think that's a great way to finish a record. So who's on the record? Well, of course, you've got Dave Mustaine and Dave Ellefson, the two Daves. You have Gar Samuelson on drums, as I said, and you have somebody called Chris Poland on guitars. Rhythm guitar. Now that lineup didn't last very long, as Megadeth in those days, their lineups tended not to last very long at all. They usually got fired. So, issues? Well, the issues were drugs. Unreliability, if there is such a word, probably because of the drugs, and alcohol, which of course is a drug. It wasn't an easy record to record, apparently. People just not turning up. So in the end, Gar Samuelson and Dave Mustaine laid down quite a few of the rhythm tracks themselves, which apparently Dave Mustaine was not allowed to do whilst a member of Metallica. So clearly a talented guy who can, play lead rhythm and has an idea of overall song rhythm and how it should be formed to make something worth listening to. So there's more to Mustaine than some people might imagine. He does come across as a bit daft at times, but especially when he was younger. But who didn't? So to me, it's a much better record than the critics gave it credit for. They said it was okay, and that was that. Nobody got too excited about it. The charts didn't get too excited about it either. Obviously, there's zero airplay for this. But what would you expect? I mean, you're not going to get a lot of airplay from such wild music. So, in America, it got to number 76. Japan, the reissue got to number 89. And in America again, a year later, 87, it got to number 89. So that's it. I mean, this thing it only just sold 1 million records worldwide. So it's not a popular record for the general public. But I think a lot of thrashers really enjoy this still to the day. I still don't believe it's better than Master of Puppets at all. It's completely different. It's a much wilder record. Master of Puppets is much more to do with long compositions and more, dare I say, more considered compositions. So have you heard Peace Sells, but Who's Buying? Which, by the way, the title came from a headline seen in, of all things, Reader's Digest. Imagine that. So yeah, have you heard it? Did you slate it in the beginning? Do you like it any better now? There's the infamous remix, of course, which came out, which I don't care for. I prefer this original from the 80s. That's the way I like it. To me it just sounds better. I've heard the remix and putting horns on it, to me, is just daft. It's like stock Aitken and Waterman have got hold of it, and it's just stop it. No. Megadeth is not about horns, not to me. And if you have heard it, isn't it good? It's much better than they said, isn't it? I think it is, isn't it? Much better. So, that is Megadeth. Peace Sells, but Who's Buying? From 1986.